Governor Roy Cooper was born and raised in Nash County, North Carolina, where he attended public schools and worked on the family farm. How many of you know anything about working on the family farm? Then he went on to receive both his undergraduate degrees and his law degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Roy Cooper began his service to our state in the State House and the State Senate, where he fought for common sense measures to raise teacher pay, reduce class sizes, and he spearheaded North Carolina's first children's health care initiative. After being elected our Attorney General in the year 2000, Governor Cooper protected North Carolina families for 4 consecutive terms. He oversaw a sharp decrease in crime and fought for consumers by advocating for lower utility rates and putting predatory lenders out of business. As North Carolina's 75th governor, Cooper is ready to make lasting investments in our future. He wants to ensure that North Carolinians are healthier, better educated, and more prosperous for generations to come. Governor Cooper is also committed to ensuring that state government looks like the people that it represents. According to the Raleigh News and Observer, our governor has appointed the most diverse cabinet in the history of North Carolina. Governor Cooper believes that if we work together, we can build a better North Carolina for all. So now I present to you our governor, to those of you from the rural east to the rural west and all points in between. Put your hands together for the one with the rural roots and the urban expertise to close the rural-urban divide, Governor Roy Cooper.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Senator, I think I'm just going to take you around the state with me, let you introduce me everywhere. It is great to see so many friends in the audience. See Charles Brown. I see a number of people that I know and have known for a long time. And thank you for coming today to talk about one of the biggest challenges we have as a state, and in fact, as a country, revitalizing and strengthening rural areas. This is something personal to me. I grew up in rural eastern North Carolina, working on the farm early in my life. My friends are still there. My family is still there. I go back often. I have a farm there. It's part of me. Nash County will always be in my soul. And to have this group together, and particularly organized and pushed by the Rural Center, I know that there are people who care and want to make the best for people living in rural North Carolina. So I want to help you in that effort. My mom was a public school teacher. I'm grateful for her life. We did some farming. I grew up understanding what life is like and how wonderful it can be to live there. And when I talk to CEOs and to companies about rural North Carolina, I talk about the peace, I talk about the serenity, I talk about the values that the people hold. I still have the values that my mom and dad gave to me, the value of hard work, the value of dedication, a deep and abiding faith. These are the kinds of things that you get when rural North Carolina is part of your life. I want to say that we've hit the ground running here in my first 4 months as governor. We've already announced job creation in McDowell County, Caldwell County, Randolph County, Cleveland County. We have more in the pipe looking at expansion. But we're also dealing with a disaster that occurred in eastern North Carolina with Hurricane Matthew. We cannot forget it. we have to continue to work hard to step up to help our friends and neighbors there. This storm was so bad that there are never going to be any hurricanes named Matthew again. And we know the millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in damage that has been done to everyday people, with their homes, with their businesses, with agriculture, with infrastructure. We have to make sure that we move us forward. I've been disappointed at the federal response this month. We're still hoping for more, but one of the things we're going to have to do is to turn to the state legislature for additional help. And I think, being my Presbyterian roots, you got to find something good out of something bad. The something good is that Hurricane Matthew put a spotlight on problems that have already been there. The problem of affordable housing, the problem of lack of good paying jobs, the problem of the desperate need for infrastructure in rural North Carolina. So, what do we do and how do we do it? The Rural Center has mapped out a plan that I think is thoughtful, and we all need to look at that as a roadmap. But things that I'm going to emphasize is, number one, I want to make North Carolina a top 10 educated state by 2025. When I talk to the business leaders, the first question is, do you have the workforce? When I'm trying to attract a good advanced manufacturing plant to rural North Carolina, they ask me, do you have the workforce? And this is a long-range and a short-range issue. Long-range investment in early childhood, Smart Start, pre-K. Business leaders already are understanding that we have to make that investment to get every child ready to learn when they go to school. And we've got the formula. North Carolina has been a leader across this country, but we need to invest. Now, when I ask people to tell me what's important to them, and they tell me, then I say, but show me your budget. Show me your budget. That's how I'll know what your priorities are. We've invested in education all the way from early childhood through our great community colleges and universities. Now, I won't list it all, but investment in early childhood, getting our teacher salaries to first in the Southeast in 3 years to the national average in 5 years, investment in teacher assistants, investments in our community colleges, making sure that students have the opportunity to get an affordable education, investments in our universities. We know what NC State is doing with agriculture and crop science. And so we know we've got to invest in education, and we can do that. The second thing we've got to have is a real plan for infrastructure. We're going to be presenting a plan to the General Assembly very soon that emphasizes infrastructure across this state. And it'll have a lot of rural projects, feedback that we've gotten from all over North Carolina. But infrastructure is more than just roads and bridges. It's also water systems. It's also broadband internet. Our budget has put in $20 million to help with expansion of broadband internet to rural areas. I talk to people in rural areas who now have broadband, and it puts them in touch with the world. They're able to connect with global markets. It's essential for growth in rural North Carolina. It's also essential for our kids who need to be connected in order to learn. We've also put $30 million in NC-ready sites. And we're talking about Tier 1 and 2 counties that these funds are limited to help with publicly owned property, building, and establishing places where we want to attract businesses to come. And in addition, we have a manufacturing site infrastructure development fund proposal that can help rural areas attract business. We also need investments in jobs and health. And I'll tell you a way that we can bring hundreds of millions of dollars to rural North Carolina, thousands of jobs without additional North Carolina tax money coming. And that is simply to say yes and accept Medicaid expansion for our state. Not only is it going to help make people healthier, and we're talking about people who are working now. We're talking about people who are living on the edge and need some additional help. Our tax money is already going to other states. A number of Republican states with Republican governors and Republican legislatures have recognized that it is a smart move because it is there and available, and you can tailor it the way that we want our state to do it. But the thousands of good-paying healthcare jobs, the survival of our rural hospitals, which are essential, help with our doctors in rural areas and attracting them there because they know they will have patients who will be able to pay. And it helps businesses because guess what? When you reduce the number of indigent patients, which ends up going back on us, you have a positive effect on our own business healthcare premiums. We also know that substance abuse is a significant issue across our state, but is affecting rural areas. Opioids, yes, but there are other drugs that are causing significant problems. Expansion of Medicaid would help with that, but we need to invest in mental health and substance abuse treatment. I'm serving on a national task force appointed by the president. It's being chaired by Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, but I'm working with the U.S. Attorney General, the U.S. of Health and Human Services, Department of Health and Human Services Secretary, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs in Washington to help tackle the substance abuse and opioid abuse crisis. And I agreed to do this because they told me what they wanted to do is use some of the models that states are using right now, that we need to move away from enforcement, not away from going after the drug kingpins and the traffickers and the people who traffic in opioid abuse, but we need to move from an enforcement model to a treatment model. And we know that if you tackle the root cause, then you're going to be better off and you're going to help solve the problem. And so the federal government and this administration wants to head in that direction, which I think is critical to our success. We know we've got to continue to push agriculture and science and efficiency and manufacturing. We need to encourage small business. The Rural Center is doing a lot of positive things with small business loans and getting capital to people who want to start a small business, and we want to help. State government needs to learn when to help and when to stay out of the way. We sometimes have disputes over where that line is, but it's important to know that that line is important, and it's important for the state to engage in activities that partner with small business, with economic developers, helping us to get where we need to get. I am honored and humbled to serve as your governor. I look forward to continued communication with Patrick Woody and the Rural Center about how we can make all of our state better for all of our citizens. We need to make sure that we are welcoming, that we are a place that people want to be, and we want them to come to our great state to live and to work. And I tell people, most everywhere I go, they say, what do you want out of this? I tell them this: I want a North Carolina with a population that's better educated, that's healthier, has more money in their pockets, and they have the opportunities to live a more abundant and purposeful life. That's what I want. Let's work together to get there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.